Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's just with Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things ready through a common sense lens. And man, I don't know about you guys. I was born in 86. I was raised in the 90s. And I remember a time where we could laugh at our differences, right? I remember a time where jokes based on stereotypes were hilarious. I mean, I grew up with a very mixed race family, right? I'm half Mexican. My little sister's half black. My little brother's quarter Korean. You know, my little sister's like pure Wisconsin German white. You know what I mean? So like we've got a very mixed bag. And so we always thought that stuff was kind of funny. We always thought racism was kind of a joke, right? Nobody really took it seriously anymore at that point. You know, there was always your oddball weirdo out there, but nobody really ever paid attention to them. And it wasn't something that I really ever interacted with growing up. And I grew up like in between like the country and the cities of Missouri. So you know what I mean? So like I should be like out there among all of those kind of people. I was in one of those evil flyover states after all, but we didn't. Nobody cared. It didn't matter. Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you remember those days when comedy was funny and when we could make jokes? Well, apparently Simu Liu does not. Yes, Marvel's star out there, boys and girls, the Shang Chi blockbuster disastrous dumpster fire that if it did make a profit, it was barely any money whatsoever. And for some reason, they haven't greenlit a sequel to that movie, which of course, if it was the success that all of the MCU simps out there and all of the rest of the Hollywood trade magazines claimed it was, well, then why aren't they rushing a sequel? They're not. And Simu Liu's only way to find any relevance anymore and to get himself in the trade magazines or to get anybody to actually be talking about him or making videos about him is to go out there and start a bunch of nonsense and spew a bunch of virtue signaling garbage out there. And he decided to go out there and pick a fight with like an Asian conservative out there who was simply making a joke about rice. And Simu Liu had an absolute meltdown. Well, boys and girls, because the times have changed and the culture is the way it is now, Simu Liu got absolutely roasted by Marvel fans all over the internet. And it's exactly what he deserves, boys and girls. And this is simply hilarious because as you can see over here from the headline at geeksandgamers.com, Simu Liu attacks Asian American conservative commentator Vince Dao over a rice tweet and gets roasted instead. Yes, boys and girls, God forbid an Asian make a joke about rice without Simu Liu getting all butthurt about it. But as we all know, it's not that Simu Liu is getting butthurt about somebody making a joke about rice. No, it's because Simu Liu views this guy as his enemy because of his delusional takes and his absolute living in the echo chamber that he does. And of course, decides to backlash and show you, guess what? Who the real racists are after all, boys and girls, because I, for one, exactly expected this kind of nonsense garbage out of Simu Liu. And boys and girls, when you see it, I'll ask you, do you agree with me? Who's the real racist in this situation? Who really has this ideology constantly rolling around in their head? Is it the conservative commentator Vince, or is it Marvel star Simu Liu? Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get all of the juicy details of this article, give you all of the information out there, and of course, show you some of the beautiful backlash out there. And of course, one of my favorite Asians out there that isn't family, boys and girls, Alan Ng himself from our Dear Sweet Film Threat could not resist throwing his 2 cents in as well, and it's absolutely hilarious. So to add some more levity and to remind all of us out there that stuff like this is supposed to be laughed at, we will show you all of that as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,300. We're still on our way towards 24 on our journey to 100,000. I think we're sitting at like 2343 because we just got a new subscriber this morning while we were live streaming right before we started recording this, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. What do you think of all this? Does it surprise you at all that the rest of the internet out there and the rest of the culture and the Marvel fans completely and totally roasted Shang-Chi star Simu Liu? Or do you agree with him and this guy out here shouldn't be making these kind of comments and these kind of stereotypical nonsense things out there? Are you just another one of those that's going to have an absolute meltdown just like our poor, sweet Simu Liu? Or do you enjoy roasting? Do you actually have common sense inside of your head and you enjoy roasting and laughing at his ridiculousness as much as the rest of us? Let us know the relevant in the comment section down below. If you like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from our dear sweet Marvin Montanaro, now over at geeksandgamers.com, but still, of course, writing for thatparkplace.com as well. Simu Liu once again found himself in a social media meltdown, this time targeting conservative commentator Vince Dao over rice. Yes, boys and girls, rice. It all began when conservative commentator Vincent Dao, who is of Vietnamese and Italian descent, hey, he's another half-breed like me. Shout out to all the rest of the half-breeds out there. Because apparently, according to D&D, half-races, you know, the combining of the bloodlines, the combining of the races is racist somehow. I don't get it either, but these are these progressive left-wing nut jobs and the thinking inside of their head. I don't know, it's weird to me too. Replied to a viral expo showing a man eating rice with his hands. And this is from it right here. This is from Vincent Dao. This is this guy right here eating rice with his hand. And honestly, any of us, I mean, here's the thing about this, right? This is a guy eating rice at a very obviously nice restaurant. Is the picture AI generated? Probably. Half the stuff on the internet you see nowadays is. But at the end of the day, this is disgusting. Any person in any civilized nation out there should understand this is gross, this is nasty, this is stupid. Nobody should eat rice like this, especially if there's sauce and meat and all the rest of that stuff in it, especially if you're not wearing a nice business suit, right? You're some starving Ethiopian out there and all you've got is a bowl and your hands to eat your rice with, by all means, have at it, right? I don't blame you. You're starving, you're hungry. Hey, I would too. If I'm starving and I'm hungry, all that stuff goes out the window. I don't give a crap. I'm hungry, I'm angry, let's eat something, right? But this is not the case. Right? This is Western civilization, right? This is a very nice dining establishment. This is disgusting. Can we all just agree on that as a culture, as a society, right? That in Western civilization, eating rice with your bare hands at a nice restaurant is unacceptable. Is that a step too far? Well, apparently it might be for Simu Liu. So Vince Dao over here, which I didn't know anything about this guy before today, says, as an Asian, I feel I have an authority on rice. Eating rice with your hands is gross, strange, and barbaric. Nobody in my family has ever done this. He acts like utensils were never invented. Right? Makes sense. Pretty decent. You know, he's making a little bit of a joke because I'm Asian. I feel like I have the right. Ha 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 ha. Because Asians love rice, right? That's the stereotype. Ha ha ha. That's funny. Right? We all remember that. Remember jokes? Remember, like, it'd be like me saying, I love refried beans. Right? I love tacos. Yes, I do. I love tacos. I love guacamole. I love spicy food. I love all that stuff. Why? Because I'm a Mexican. Okay? That's how it works. Stereotypes exist for a reason. Vince probably ate a lot of rice. Probably still eats a lot of rice. Because why? Because he's Asian. I know! Strange foreign concept. Weird. You remember when we all could laugh at jokes like that? Common Nerd remembers. And so does Pepperidge Farms. Well, apparently Simu Liu does not. Because Simu Liu had an absolute meltdown, boys and girls. Absolutely lost his mind. You don't have the authority on jack shit. You're just putting your own culture down to try to make yourself more palatable to white conservatives, you dumb bitch. Acting like people don't get their hands dirty eating pizza or ribs or tacos. Shut the fuck up. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. We all understand there are certain cultural standards that come with certain foods, right? You're not going to eat French fries, regular old French fries, straight out of the bag with a fork. You're not going to eat your chicken nuggets with a fork, right? You're not going to eat your cheeseburger with a fork. Now, given there are some situations where I've ran across burgers that would probably have been best eaten with a knife and fork, and sometimes I do. But those are very select occasions. I don't think there's anybody out there in the world who would have access to some form of utensil, right? Who would willingly eat rice with his hands. And so is Simu Liu here implying that it's part of Asian culture to eat rice with his hands? Because I have a Grandma Foy. May she rest in peace. Right? I had a Grandma Foy. I loved her to death. Very nice little Korean lady. Loved me to death. Always called me handsome. It makes a young boy feel special, especially when he was a little on the chunky side as a kid. You know what I mean? But she always fed me. Right? Always lots of rice. Always lots of fried carrots. All kinds of wonderful food out there. I never saw any of my Asian family ever eating rice with their hands. Have you? Have you ever in your life Outside of some of you out there who might have visited some third world starving country, have you ever seen an Asian in Western civilization or even in a higher end culture in some of these other places out there ever eat rice with their hands unless they absolutely had to? No. So apparently, Simu Liu believes Asians are barbarians who eat their rice with their hands. Remind me who the racist is against. Tacos have a tortilla for a reason. The tortilla is supposed to keep all of that gross, or not all that gross, but all that delicious, greasy, fun stuff inside of your taco to prevent your hands from getting dirty, right? Ribs, it's implied. It's going to happen, okay? You're ripping meat off the bone, all right? This guy is stupid. Nobody eats rice with their hands. And of course, the majority of Marvel fans out there understand that. Kangmin Lee, Simu, I doubt you eat plain rice with your bare hands, you fraudulent sellout. Let's try your self-flagellating virtue signaling in mainland China and see where it gets you. I'm sure stuffing your face with fried rice using your bare hands would be well received. If you know anything about how the Chinese Communist Party government treats their people, I think you'll understand. If not, you should probably do some research. Nerdrotic points out his failed Marvel career. Okay, but how is that Shang Chi sequel coming? Just like all of the rest of the Star Wars stuff's coming. Disprove says, use cutlery, you barbarian savage. Dan Vass says, look at this loser all mad. I want to pinch your cheeks. Mr. Philip Chan, another Asian American. We Asians disavow you. Even China hates your squinty butt. Acts like you don't eat pizza or ribs or tacos with their hands is still more acting than you do in Shang-Chi sequel that isn't happening. A good friend of mine, 32 Flavors Nick Weiser, go check out his comic shop talk. Hey, Soy Chi, there are men talking, let them speak. And I mean, this just goes on. Lorena Creole, by your flawed logic, you sound like you're trying to make yourself more palatable to white liberals. Pathetic. Paulie, the Latino slant. You keep my tacos out of your GD mouth. Right? Exactly. I'm with him. John Douglas. Hey, aren't you that Japanese guy from a DC movie? And that's where it gets into the fun part. Because this was absolutely wonderful. Because right here, he responds. And this is great from Vince Dao. Right here. Is this guy famous or something? Because I don't know who he is.
Emotional damage.
And I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I was like covering this for a living and this was my full-time job, I wouldn't remember his name either. I really wouldn't. I didn't see Shang-Chi in theaters, much like the majority of the Marvel fans out there, which is why it flopped at the box office and why we're not getting a sequel. And apparently Vince Dao is the exact same way. So once again, Simu Liu knows way more about conservative Asians than conservative Asians know about him. Because this guy, whether being sarcastic or not, is like, I have no idea who he is. And either way, it's a wonderful burn. And I mean, just the ratio alone is hilarious, right? Like, I mean, it's just not even close. Like, he gets 52,000 likes. This guy gets 81,000 likes from Vince Dao. Right? And what is this? All of Simu Liu's bots. Where are the comments? Where are them pushing back? Where are them fighting back against this? It's just hilarious. And like I said, Alan couldn't help himself. Alan from Film Threat, which you haven't already, go check out Film Threat and go follow Alan on Twitter. He's absolutely hilarious. X, whatever. Just gonna say it. Eating rice with your hands is as bad as eating rice with a fork. See, now he's going for like Asian supremacy right there, boys and girls. He's like, no, you will eat with chopsticks, you silly little white people out there. And I think that's funny. And I'm gonna eat it with a fork right in front of him. Hey, look at that. There you go. Alan even proves it. There's gotta be an easier way. Right there. There's gotta be an easier way to do it. There's gotta be an easier way. There's absolutely gotta be an easier way. And this right here is what it really all comes down to. To all the white progressives entering the conversation, thank you for giving us Asians the final solution. I wonder what Alan's referring to. On the most supreme way to eat rice. Your input is noted. And that goes right back to referencing and referring to what somebody else said earlier about Simu Liu trying to kowtow to white progressives. Because that's where all of this ideology comes from. You remember Latinx? Yeah, Latinx. How's all the rest of my Latin brothers and sisters? Did you enjoy that? All my Cubans? How you Puerto Ricans? How about you Brazilians? Did you love your Latin X? Right? Try to degender the language? Yeah. White progressives once again remind you that they're the real racists out there, right? Because they try to teach other cultures how they're supposed to live. You want to come into Hispanic culture. You want to rewrite our language. You want to come in there and call us Latin X's or Latinxes or whatever the hell it was. You saw the backlash. Hispanics don't play that way, right? They're not going to put up with it. Latinos are like, nah, it's not going to work. There's a reason why you got to worry about a Latino woman stabbing you. They're crazy, man. We love them, but they're crazy. Right? There's a reason why I married a redheaded and Irish white chick. She's crazy too, though, but fair. So I was stuck either way. God, just funny that way. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, this is what it all comes down to. This is nothing more than a virtue signal for Simu Liu. This is him trying to score progressive points with all of his white liberal friends out there in Hollywood. See, I'm part of the ideology too. I'm on the bandwagon. Can I be on the plantation, please? Please, massa, will you let me in the house? Because that's really what all this comes down to. Right? We saw it happen with Snoop Dogg, right? He said one thing, was like, my God, this gay stuff in kids' entertainment, this ain't cool. What's Snoop Dogg doing now? LGBT propaganda, singing a song about it, trying to warp your children's minds. Simu Liu's no different. He's a hack. He's a fraud. And the only reason he got any of his jobs out there in Hollywood was because he agreed with the progressive cultish ideology out there, the spirit of the age, woke, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, it's the exact same nonsense, evil garbage, insanity that we've been fighting since our ancestors walked out of the Garden of Eden, right? It hasn't changed itself. It just slaps a new paint job on. And now, Simu Liu, Marvel star, a guy who probably made more money off that movie than 99.9% of us will ever see in our lives, is out there crying and whining and having a meltdown over a joke about not eating rice with your hands. And I think as a person who lives in Western civilization, as an American, I think we can all say that the majority of us agree that Simu Liu is nothing more than a jackass idiot and that no one should eat rice with their hands. And as our dear Alan, resident Asian expert, said, you shouldn't be eating with a fork either, you sick whitos. But you know what, Alan? I will not take your Asian supremacy out there. I will eat it with a fork because, by God, I'm an American and I'll do it the way I want it. Simu Liu, keep your ass in Canada because, by God, we don't need you, and clearly neither does Marvel, because where's that Shang Chi sequel, boys and girls? I don't know, and clearly neither does Simu Liu. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, idiots like this have danced with the devil in the pale moonlight, and the one thing the devil hates the most is to be mocked, and mocking and ridiculing is the exact burn Simu Liu deserves. Enjoy getting killed off in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Trust me, the fans won't miss you. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.